On the day of the college entrance exam, my sister, who had always been known for her skillful hands and delicate touch, handed out a heart-shaped sandwich to everyone at school for breakfast. She stuck a heart-shaped note on the wrapper. This was made by me, the very skillful and dexterous me, with my own hands. After eating it, I guarantee you'll get a perfect score. Unexpectedly, the meat in the sandwich was moldy, causing a large number of students at the school to suffer diarrhea, and they were sent to the hospital in the middle of the exam. To avoid the public abuse and criticism, she deliberately started crying and posted a video first. It's all my fault. If I hadn't been lazy and let my younger sister prepare the meat, my classmates wouldn't have given up the college entrance exam. I knew all along that my sister was jealous of how skillful I am with my hands, but I never expected her to deliberately use moldy meat. She's so evil. The frustrated examinees locked me in a cage and kept stuffing moldy meat into me until I was bloated to death. I opened my eyes in hatred and found myself back on the day my sister brought sandwiches. Everyone must not have had breakfast yet, right? Don't worry, I brought everyone the sandwiches I made myself. I guarantee you'll all get perfect scores after eating them. We're the best. Eat heart-shaped sandwiches and score the highest in the city. My sister was all smiles, and in her school uniform skirt she looked like a little sun. She was a big name at school, and almost everyone knew how clever and skillful she was with her hands. She could amaze everyone with any kind of handmade craft. In her past life, she handed heart-shaped sandwiches to every classmate boarding the bus at the school gate, unaware that the meat inside the sandwiches had gone moldy. As a result, a classmate in the exam hall suffered diarrhea halfway through the test and was sent to the hospital because of food poisoning and loss of consciousness. They were forced to give up the exams in the following days. 3 years of hard work were ruined in an instant. After being discovered, my sister cowered behind me, tearfully sobbing. I know my younger sister has always been jealous of how deft and likable I am, but you can't deliberately put moldy meat into the college entrance exam meals. I apologize to everyone on behalf of my younger sister, and I will do my best to make it up to you all. My parents even took the initiative to testify for her, personally handing me over to those disgruntled examinees and letting them torment me, all just to protect my sister's reputation from being damaged. Even my childhood sweetheart, who came up from the countryside with me to take the exam, spoke up for her. Only then did I realize he had long since harbored the idea of currying favor with my sister and enjoying wealth and glory. In the end, I was stuffed full of moldy meat by the enraged examinees and literally burst to death. Maybe I died too wrongly. When I opened my eyes again, it actually sent me back to the critical moment. I watched my sister perform quietly. Just as she was about to hand me the sandwich, I asked, "Sister, this sandwich isn't poisoned, is it? It won't give me diarrhea, will it?" Her mouth turned down as she said aggrievedly, "How can you slander me like this, little sister? I spent all night making this. I personally oversaw every step. How could it be unclean? I just thought everyone was busy studying for exams and probably wouldn't have time for breakfast. Besides, hasn't everyone eaten the things I made before? There's no way there'd be a problem this time either." My sister often brought various cookies and snacks she made to share with the entire school for free, and from then on, her reputation for being clever and skillful spread widely throughout the school. But behind the scenes, unknown to anyone, these things were actually forced upon me to make day and night. It was also because of this illusion that in my previous life, almost everyone in the school had eaten her sandwiches. Watching her self-satisfied expression, I sneered inwardly and curled my lips to retort, "Then you wouldn't deliberately avoid eating them yourself, would you?" Chapter 2. She immediately opened her bag, took one out, and started eating. How could that be? I plan to eat sandwiches for all 3 meals a day. Since Mom and Dad aren't home, we need to take good care of ourselves. You should eat them with me too, little sister. The students wavered on the spot. One classmate who had already had a sandwich came forward and asked for 2 more, saying that he too would eat sandwiches 3 times a day. Those who hadn't gotten one yet rushed over eagerly, scrambling to reach into the insulated box to grab one. I took the sandwich, but I didn't open it to eat right away. Everyone should still be careful. The college entrance exam is coming up, and you can't just eat anything. If you end up with diarrhea and it delays you, then all those 3 years of hard work will have been wasted. You can eat it after the exam just the same. In response to my well-intentioned reminder, some people thought it made sense. Once the exam is over, not to mention 3 meals a day, even eating it for 3 days straight wouldn't matter. We're about to head into the exam hall, so being cautious is always the right call. But my sister wouldn't have it. She glared at me angrily, tears streaming down her face like pear blossoms in the rain. I made this step by step, even washing the lettuce several times. How could it cause diarrhea, little sister? I know you've always felt that mom and dad favor me, but you can't just make things up to slander me, can you? I shrugged my hands. I'm not slandering you, I'm just reminding everyone to be cautious. Besides, I'm doing this for your own good. You wouldn't want to be blamed by everyone if something goes wrong, would you? Although my sister was truly malicious. 3 years of relentless hard work shouldn't be wasted because of one person. An innocent person shouldn't ruin their bright future over this. My sister's gaze turned icy in an instant, and when everyone shifted their attention to her face again, she was wearing that same little son expression. Why are you still not leaving? There are only 2 hours left until the exam, and we can't afford to waste any time. It was my male classmate who had come up from the countryside with me to take the exam. In my previous life, when we were studying in the countryside, he had taken the initiative to ask me to help tutor him. After I refused, he persisted with sweet talk and coaxing until I reluctantly agreed. With my help, he barely managed to get into the same high school as me. But after my sister made a mistake, not only did he not help me, he also used the illusion of being close to me to help my sister fabricate evidence, stepping forward to say that I had prepared the meat on my own initiative, claiming he had clearly warned me, but I didn't listen. In the end, they stepped on my reputation to inherit the family fortune and lived happily ever after. Thinking of this, I suddenly had a brilliant idea. A slut and a dog, a perfect match forever. As soon as her sister saw it was him, she immediately started complaining. Wah, sister says I deliberately made a poisonous sandwich. You're the closest to sister, so hurry up and help me explain. Su Minghui directly handed him one of the sandwiches from her backpack. This sandwich is just burnt. How could it be poisonous? Li Zhang's eyes lit up, and he leaned over like a dog. Really, Hui, I want to eat your love sandwich too, as expected of someone so clever and skilled. Unlike Su Lingji, that village girl who can't do any of this, the older sister blushed and smiled shyly at his flattery. He wasn't satisfied with just one sandwich. Instead, he took the initiative to ask for 4 more. What Hui makes must be different. I've got to eat a few more. I gave a sarcastic smile. I'm a country girl, so what does that make you? Since I met Li Zhang, he asked me to help tutor him. I had been left in the countryside by my parents for more than 10 years, and I tutored him for 9 years too, until my grandmother, who raised me, passed away, and my parents had no choice but to come and take me back. Li Zhang also got into a high school in the city smoothly, but as soon as he arrived, he completely changed his attitude. Go ahead and eat, let's see if my sister's poison can kill you. At that moment, the teacher came to call us to set off. I saw someone trust my sister again and eat the sandwich. Those willing to heed my advice would of course get through the college entrance exam safely and soundly, but for those who wouldn't listen, there was nothing I could do. Su Minghui and I were in the same exam room, and she was in the seat right in front of mine. As soon as we sat down, Su Minghui turned around and threw down a harsh remark at me. Stop struggling. You can't even get into a junior college, so why are you sitting here? I ignored her. As soon as the exam bell rang, I focused solely on answering the questions. Although I had been reborn, the butterfly effect meant that the questions had changed too. After coming here from the countryside, I deliberately kept my scores low in every exam. If my sister found out, she would definitely squeeze me even harder to make snacks and handicrafts. To have time to study, I kept my scores within the bottom 10 in the class. I successfully deceived her, and now I can finally showcase my abilities in this college entrance exam. I focused on answering the questions, but Su Minghui in front of me started to get restless, constantly fidgeting in her chair. I didn't even look up, as this outcome was something I had long anticipated. It was only natural that she would have a stomachache right in the exam hall after eating a sandwich. Su Minghui's face turned red from holding it in, and she raised her hand, signaling that she needed to go to the restroom, but after only a few steps, she suddenly had a massive bout of diarrhea. A foul stench filled the classroom. That wasn't the most important part, though. Large beads of cold sweat were pouring from Su Minghui's forehead, and her face and lips were deathly pale. She crouched down and pressed tightly on her stomach. The invigilator quickly called for emergency medical assistance, but at this moment, Su Minghui shouted, I don't need emergency care, I still need to take the exam. I curled the corner of my mouth in a mocking smile. After the medical staff arrived and gave her emergency treatment, she was able to stand up, but the first thing she did was not to continue the exam. Instead, she suddenly turned her head and tried to grab my paper. I dodged quickly and raised my hand. Teacher, isn't she out of her mind? She even tried to tear up my paper. Su Minghui shouted with a twisted expression. I didn't, I'm very clear-headed, my hand just slipped. I want to keep taking the exam. How could that possibly have been a slip of the hand? She just couldn't take the exam herself, and she still wanted to ruin my future. Chapter 4. But this time, no matter how much she tried to argue, it was useless. She was carried away on the spot and taken into the ambulance. Even as she left, she was still muttering, it was Su Lingji, she deliberately harmed me. She's jealous that my grades are better than hers, so she poisoned me with a laxative. Of course, she was not the only one like that. Outside the window, the constant wail of ambulances was the most wonderful sound I had heard in this life. The first day of the exam was over. I returned home to, as expected, an empty house. It's always like this. When mom and dad go out, they only say hello to my older sister, Su Minghui, after they had me. Mom and dad left me with my grandmother in the countryside and never came to see me even once. Everything I ate, wore, and used was paid for with my grandmother's money. Getting into a high school in the city was also tuition-free. My parents gave birth to me but never raised me, and sometimes I really want to ask them why, but grandma stroked my head and told me that the most precious thing she had ever seen was the Lingji mushroom that grew in the mountains. She named me Lingji because she believed I was an incredibly precious person. From then on, I stopped holding any illusions about my parents. I had hoped grandma would live to see me get into college, but I was still one step too late. After I went to the study, I fell fast asleep holding grandma's photo. Early the next morning, I set out for the exam venue, and heard that many students from our school had been sent to the hospital. The doctor diagnosed it as food poisoning. Right now, the parents are making a scene at the hospital, saying the school isn't taking responsibility and fed the students random food. I was more than happy to see it happen. The more they made a fuss, the safer I was. Public opinion will force Su Minghui to behave herself like a shrinking turtle, and she can forget about disturbing my exam these few days. After this incident, the teacher today strictly forbade students from distributing food. They could only bring their own. I ate my homemade sandwich until I was completely full. This is what healthy food is. In my previous life, Su Minghui deliberately refused to give me a sandwich. Although I narrowly escaped disaster in the exam room, I never made it to the results. Before they were even announced, she framed me, and in the end I was wrongfully killed. This time, I will never give her even the slightest chance. After finishing my last exam, I had just walked out of the door when my parents rushed up to me in a fury. They raised their hands, intending to slap me hard, and they said, "You useless thing, hurting your sister wasn't enough. You actually forced so many innocent classmates to give up the college entrance exam. Today I'll beat you to death." Chapter 5. Watching their unreasonable behavior, my heart was unusually calm. In the past, I would have been heartbroken, wondering why my parents would treat me this way, but now, I just want to stay away from them. I dodged my mother's slap, and the people around were drawn in by her words. Only then did I understand why so many candidates were absent from the 2-day high school entrance exam. With people watching, my parents became even more energized. My mom glanced at me, Su Lingji, in front of so many people. "Apologize. Do you know how big a mistake you made?" My sister was carried out of the car by my dad, seated in a wheelchair, and raised her eyebrows provocatively. She even coquettishly whined, "Mom, don't blame my sister anymore. What's done is done." "I'm willing to apologize to my sister and her classmates on her behalf," I immediately replied. "Great, then you go apologize, sis." My dad's brows instantly furrowed as he glared at me with displeasure. My mom was even more furious and raised her hand again. "Su Lingji, there has to be a limit to your jealousy of your sister. We haven't deprived you of food or shelter, and yet you dare to deliberately use spoiled meat to harm your sister. Have you had enough of living? They have always taken care of me, ensuring I never lacked food or clothing, which is the greatest kindness they could have shown me. Yet, I have only been by their side for 1 semester. In my previous life, I tearfully explained to my parents, but they were convinced it was my doing. In this life, I didn't even get the chance to explain myself before being convicted. The reporters around me were carrying cameras, and I knew that, besides the college entrance exam reporters, there were also entertainment reporters deliberately summoned by my sister. But that was exactly what I wanted. With red-rimmed eyes, I said aggrievedly, "Mom, how can you tell such a blatant lie with your eyes wide open?" Sister was handing out her own charity sandwiches. I even regretted not getting one. I believe someone was jealous of her and deliberately set her up. Since so many classmates have become victims, let's call the police. I'm sure the police will give sister the justice she deserves. After saying that, I gave Su Minghui a meaningful smile. I deliberately walked up to her in front of the camera and said, "Sister, you must feel so embarrassed, right? It's not your fault that you couldn't hold it in during the exam, I'll help you." Ignoring Su Minghui's unpleasant expression, I immediately took out my phone and called the police. My mother slapped my phone away and said, "Who allowed you to call the police? Do you think this isn't already a big enough mess? Your sister fell ill during the exam, and all you cared about was finishing the test instead of going to the hospital to take care of her." Take care of her. I was practically on the verge of laughing in frustration at this moment, because a reporter was live streaming. The victim's family arrived at the hospital and on the scene. "Su Minghui, you bitch, you ruined my son's bright future." Without the slightest politeness, before anyone could react, she rushed up and shoved Su Minghui out of the wheelchair. Chapter 6. Meanwhile, the families, bringing their children with them, kept streaming in from all directions. Mom and Dad wanted to stop it, but they couldn't. My older sister lay face down on the ground in a humiliating sprawl, trying to get up only to be pushed back down. They surrounded my sister and all angrily began to blame her. "Su Minghui, I trusted you so much that I even ate the sandwich on the spot to prove it for you, and what happened? I passed out right there in the exam room. 3 years, all gone. You're usually so clever and handy. Was this on purpose? You've ruined our future. You have to take responsibility." My sister was helped to her feet by Mom, who had finally managed to squeeze into the crowd. The two of them were disheveled, and my sister hurriedly tried to defend herself. "How could I possibly harm everyone? I ended up in the hospital too, didn't I? What kind of person I am? Haven't you all known me for 3 years? It must have been when my younger sister was preparing the meat for me. She deliberately didn't check it. I apologize to all of you on my sister's behalf." Then she looked over the crowd at me and said sternly, "Little sister, you've gone too far this time. Even if you're jealous of me, I could let the little squabbles from before go, but this time, you shouldn't have done this." I laughed. She was so afraid that she couldn't even keep her story straight. At this moment, she was just a clown jumping around on a stage, without me even refuting her further. My classmates all sneered, still trying to make excuses. "What kind of sister are you? You won't admit to what you did yourself, and instead you're pinning it on your younger sister. If I were your younger sister, I'd probably have had the worst luck for 8 generations. When you handed out the sandwiches, you said every step was under your own control, so how come, when something went wrong, it was suddenly your sister doing it on purpose?" The reporters who had been loitering around immediately swarmed over like dogs spotting meat. They had initially thought it was just a mother scolding her disobedient daughter, but now that such explosive news had surfaced, no one was going to let it slip by, not to mention the entertainment reporters summoned by her sister. There was no shortage among them of people who loved spouting nonsense. The school gate was in complete chaos. Angry classmates and family members were tugging at her hair. After hearing what had just been said, anyone would think she was utterly despicable and would want to step in and kick her while she was down. This time, my sister was truly in pain. She stopped pretending to be a little son anymore, baring her teeth and grimacing like a monkey. My parents, in trying to protect her, were also beaten until they were lying on the ground, with my arms folded across my chest. All I could think was what a happy family this was. In the end, it was only because I called the police and the police who arrived later cleared a path that they were able to get out, but the reporters had press credentials, and they kept thrusting their microphones toward them. After several fruitless attempts, someone actually remembered me, the one who had been forgotten. They came to interview me on their own initiative. Chapter 7. I shrugged and said helplessly, "Although my sister is very skilled and capable, that day she clearly saw the meat had gone moldy, but she still wouldn't listen to my advice. She thought boiling it would disinfect it. I never expected her to turn the moldy meat into sandwiches and bring them to be distributed on the day of the college entrance exam." I sighed and shook my head, deliberately putting on a regretful expression. I hope my sister pays attention next time and recognizes her mistake, apologizes to everyone, and doesn't keep making excuses or avoiding responsibility. Finally, I hope we all achieve top honors on the golden list. My sister, who had been shielded by the police to avoid the attack, fainted from anger upon hearing this. This time, she had no chance of turning things around. When distributing the sandwiches, she had confidently promised that everything was completely fine, yet, she still ended up causing many people to be hospitalized, even with the police protecting her as they carried her into the ambulance. Some people hated her to the core and blocked the front of the ambulance, refusing to move aside. The delay was so long that even her older sister had woken up. She could no longer hold back her tears and sobbed aggrievedly. "I only meant well. Why is everyone blaming me? you all chose to eat it yourselves. I had no idea the poison couldn't be boiled away. The examinee in front of the ambulance broke down and screamed, how can one sentence of, I didn't know, erase all my hard work? Even if you're cured today, I will never let you off. His eyes were bloodshot, and I knew he was an extremely hard-working student in the class. His mother had leukemia at home, and he had finally managed to continue his studies. Success or failure hinged on this moment, but because of Su Minghui, everything was now gone. His family couldn't afford to let him repeat the year, so he had no choice but to drop out of school, and this video was posted online. A simple, I don't know, directly infuriated netizens to the point of cursing. You don't even know and you dare give it to your classmates to eat. I heard she had excellent grades. How could she not even know about aflatoxin? Could her grades be fake too? Maybe they really are. That's why she wanted to harm her classmates to improve her own ranking, but she miscalculated. The sandwich meat she prepared got contaminated with the toxin in the pot, and ended up killing herself too. What a pity for those students. 3 years of hard work, all gone in an instant. They didn't even get to step onto the battlefield before dying on the way. She's still making excuses and falsely accusing her own sister, judging by how her parents acted at first. They're probably biased parents too. She's just been spoiled. A good beating would fix her. In my past life, I was also heavily insulted by netizens. But now all of that has been returned to its rightful owner. Whoever makes a mistake deserves the blame. After receiving treatment at the hospital, my parents brought my sister back home. They immediately kicked open the door to my room, passionately shouting into the microphone, Su Lingji, are you satisfied now that your sister is in this state? I can't even fathom how strong your jealousy is. It's just a case of food poisoning, isn't it? Your sister can't even take the college entrance exam now. And you haven't lost anything. Why can't you just admit that you did it, now that your sister is suffering like this? Is our family happy? Right now, you need to record a video immediately, saying that you made the sandwiches and that you deliberately encouraged your sister to distribute them to her classmates. With your poor grades, only you would do something like this to improve your ranking. I sneered. Why should I? There should be a limit to favoritism, right? This is a matter that involves the law. In my previous life, I was literally stuffed to death, but I won't be that foolish this time. Chapter 8. My mother directly knocked my desk lamp to the ground. Why else? Your sister is so outstanding, and you're not even worth a hair compared to her. Of course, it's you who has to make the sacrifice, I said expressionlessly. Since you love her so much, then admit it yourself. But my mother said, I still have a career to pursue. If I admit it, who will take care of your sister? It's just a career, Mom. You're not even willing to give that up. It seems you don't really love my sister that much, do you? I sneered. This is her love, filled with self-interest and calculation. My sister also came to my room, looking at me with a fragile expression. Sister, please help me just this once. Go online and admit that you did all of this, and I knew nothing about it. That way, no one will blame me. Our family company's stock has dropped so much. If this continues, we won't be able to live in a big house or wear beautiful clothes. Don't worry. After you admit it, I will definitely step up and speak for you. Besides, you've already finished your college entrance exams, but I haven't taken mine yet. Once I take over the company, I'll make sure you never have to worry about food or clothing. This is quite possibly the funniest joke I've ever heard. In my previous life, I reached out to her for help more than once, but what did she do? Not only did she refuse to help clear my name, she deliberately suggested sending me to the angry candidates. I was drugged, and when I woke up, endless torment awaited me. I was tied up every day, forced to eat moldy, foul-smelling meat. I vomited over and over again, and when I couldn't swallow it, they cut open my stomach and stuffed it in. Yet what I've endured could have been resolved with just a few words from her. Not only did she fail to help me as she had just promised, but she also deliberately allowed more marketing accounts to spread the word online, stirring up public outrage. After I die, forget about having enough food and clothing. I won't even have a coffin. All right, this matter must be handled by Su Lingji. Dad spoke with an air of authority, making the final decision. I fiddled with my phone and said, it's fine to post it, but the company can't be left to her. It has to be given to me. My mom immediately widened her eyes, looking at me in disbelief, then angrily grabbed a feather duster and was about to hit me. Who gave you the nerve? Your dad and I aren't even dead yet, and you're already eyeing the company's shares. If you were even half as outstanding as your sister, I wouldn't say anything, but you're from the countryside. How can you compare to your sister? My sister watched me with schadenfreude, and when I dodged my mom's feather duster and ran toward her, she stuck out her foot. Ever since I was little, my parents only came back during New Year's. Every time my sister wore a beautiful dress and I wore a faded, washed-out padded jacket, they would say with obvious disdain, "I wish you were even half as good as your sister." Every New Year's, I would be beaten by my mom because my sister tried to take my things and I refused to give them up. I pretended to be tripped on purpose, then spun around and shoved Su Minghui into my mom's swinging strike. Su Minghui screamed and covered her face, but I smiled and said, "How do you know I'm not better than her? I dare say I'm the city's top scorer this time. If nothing unexpected happens, I can choose any school I want." Seeing that Su Minghui had been caught in the crossfire, my mom was still about to rush over and hit me. My dad stopped her and looked at me suspiciously for a long time. "You're sure?" Chapter 9. I was extremely confident. "Why don't we make a bet? After the college entrance exam results come out, if I'm not the top scorer, I'll admit on my own that everything was done by me, but if I am, then I hope my sister will publicly give an explanation to the victims." My father was skeptical, but it didn't cost him anything. My sister grew anxious, stamping her foot. "Dad, how can you believe her? Don't forget she went to school in the countryside. She's definitely no match for me, who's been educated in a city center school since childhood. She's just deliberately refusing to admit it. By the time the college entrance exam results come out, I'll probably have been scolded to the point of being covered in blood. And what about our family's company? Can it afford to wait?" "Su Lingji, stop pretending to be something you're not." I dismissed what she said with contempt. "Are you that scared? If you can't even handle this little bit of public opinion, how could Dad dare hand the company over to you? What does being scolded have to do with the company? As long as Dad says I'm the heir, everything can be solved. After all, I did remind quite a few classmates back then and saved them once." Su Minghui panicked, and she kept looking at Dad, but my dad had already made up his mind. My mom still wanted to defend Su Minghui, but my dad cut her off directly. "All right, let's do as Lingji said." My mom and sister stared at me coldly. I, on the other hand, went downstairs to eat at my leisure and even remarked, This meal must not have been cooked by my sister, otherwise, we should be calling 911 by now." My sister looked furious but couldn't do anything about me. I calmly waited for the day when the college entrance exam results would be announced, but some people just had to go out of their way. Li Zhang found me in the library and, without a word, dragged me out the door. "Lingji, now Minghui has suffered all kinds of grievances. She's a girl who's been pampered and spoiled, not like you who grew up rough in the countryside. Can't you just take the blame for her? You should step forward and say it was all your fault, that it had nothing to do with your sister, that you were jealous of her and staged the whole thing yourself, but it led to an unexpected accident. After all, you're from the countryside, and your sister still has a bright future ahead of her. You can't just watch her be ruined like this, can you?" What a load of nonsense, and to think I once admired him for his determination to rely on his own abilities to make it out of the mountains. The result is nothing but a short-sighted dog. I consider admiring him to be the biggest stain on my life. I've washed my eyes several times, but it still doesn't feel right. I curled my lips in mockery. "Li Zhang, how could you be foolish enough to say such a thing? If that's the case, you don't have a bright future either, so why are you standing here? Why not just go take the blame for a murderer?" He stared at me gloomily and started acting shamelessly. Chapter 10. "If you don't help Minghui, I'll go online and say it was you who did it. After all our classmates know how close we are." Resorting to threats now, are we? I kicked him in the stomach again, and the pain forced him to let go. Just arrived at the doorstep, my sister eagerly reached out to take the backpack from my shoulder, but her eyes kept glancing backward. I dodged her hand and said sarcastically, "What's wrong? Is your sweetheart behind you? Look at how eagerly you're waiting." She rolled her eyes at me, then seemed to remember something and took the initiative to grab my hand. "Sister, has Li Zhang told you everything?" I withdrew my hand and nodded. "I did." She was so excited that she picked up her phone. "Then let's go shoot the video quickly. If we're late, we won't be able to ride the trending wave." I sneered. "No need to ride it. You've been trending for days. Li Zhang even praised you for being capable, saying he would marry you if you became a big star." Su Minghui froze, hesitating as she asked, "He only said that?" I raised an eyebrow and deliberately retorted, Is there anything else to say? Should I take the blame for you, or has he already fallen for you and wants to frame me to help you?" Su Minghui's face darkened as she covered her mouth. "How can you say that about Li Zhang? He's your childhood friend." I was puzzled and touched my face. "Childhood friend? Isn't he yours? I always thought my childhood friend was Grandma, since she raised me." After saying that, I stared at her intently and sneered. "Or is it that one night with Li Zhang wasn't enough for you? He said that night was the best moment of his life. I'm sure you'd be more than happy to help him out. I'll go tell Mom and Dad just how helpful you are." You see, in my parents' eyes, Su Minghui was born with a silver spoon in her mouth, a precious,